Brandon.
And I'm Brandon.
And welcome back to Apollo City Comics, your comic book commentary show. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, covering a comic book. We got really hyped about Venom coming out, and we're both big fans of Donny Cates, obviously. Like, we love his Venom run. Our first episode with Brandon was covering volume 1 of Donnie's Venom run, and it was just like we both lined up, we both agreed on it, we both thought it was the coolest fucking thing we've read. And there's so much that happens with the character over that run, and it's really kind of like ignited that whole passion of just like, fuck, I do miss symbiotes, and like I do miss Venom, I do miss Carnage, like I do want to like dig more and see some of this. And but at the time you're getting your fill. When all that run was coming out, I was just so happy with it, and I wasn't really doing much back reading on the characters, other than I think the first appearance of Venom and whatnot, stuff like that, like Spider-Man 300 and shit. But we actually have some time to dig in and really go into these characters again and find some of the stories that like led up to Donnie's run and everything. And so the pinnacle that we've heard of Carnage stories is a great place to start. We have Absolute Carnage that Donnie did, but it was kind of like his spin on Maximum Carnage, the series that came out in, what was it, 93, 94?
93,
okay.
Yeah,
12 issues. It's a maxi series.
no, 14.
Oh, 14, my bad.
Yeah, that's why it felt like it was never ending.
And I adore these characters. As a kid, the Spidey cartoon came out. The Spider-Man PlayStation PC game came out that was based on it, and you got to fight the symbiotes and stuff like that. Like, remember that first game? The first game's so dope. Like, that whole symbiote storyline.
It goes for a lot of money, too, on, like, Super Nintendo unopened.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
because it was
I imagine I can only imagine it's, like, just okay, too, like, by today's standards.
Oh, I bet playing it today, you're just like, what was fun about this? But I guess it was so fresh, and you got to see something we really don't see often. I think this and Web of Shadows are probably the only like symbiote-based Spidey games out.
Yeah, when you think about it, at least. Well, I mean, if you think of the PS1 Spider-Man game, the one that's considered the greatest Spider-Man game before the PS4 one, you do fight symbiotes in that game.
Yeah,
and the boss is a Doc Ock Carnage hybrid, which was in nothing else at the time. But the problem with that game was it was on PS1, so the graphics couldn't really hold up, and the symbiotes look like pink bubblegum. Yeah,
they look like little blobs and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. They just look like angry bubblegum just biting you and whatnot. But it was cool, And I've always loved Venom and Carnage, like even in the Spidey.
Oh yeah, they've always looked
cartoon, super cool. I have a Mark Bagley sketch of Venom and Carnage name on face, and I'm gonna open up this link real fast that you sent me.
Yeah, just look at that.
Oh yeah. So today we decided to do Maximum Carnage, and I'm looking at the Sega Genesis new factory sealed, not new, but it's like listed as new, the factory sealed game, and it's going for like $1,000. That's insane.
Almost 2,000.
Almost 2,000. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding.
It is just one of those things that collectors love. Everyone that grew up in the 90s pretty much loves it. Venom was a Todd McFarlane creation. It's dope as fuck. That's all I gotta say. So we read Maximum Carnage, and I really, when we do this show, we're always reading different storylines, and we're always just trying to find the best in everything. And when we like rip on stuff, we don't ever mean it. Like, it always outweighs the love we have for the comic. Always outweighs like us ripping on it.
Let me also say, like, I'm just gonna preface with like, I didn't like this book.
I hated this book. I
hated
every single.
Finally, yeah, I fucking was dying reading this book. I was like, oh my god, I was falling asleep. Like,
yeah, we really tried to like love the book at the very end, but I don't think it's gonna happen in these next 2 episodes, guys. I'm so sorry. We tried really hard to like love and respect this book.
and I respect as like a writer, J.M. How do you say his name? DeMatteis? DeMatteis? I don't know. JM. I was gonna say I've enjoyed stuff they've written before. Like they wrote some of that like Scooby-Doo Apocalypse book that was really funny, and also
cool.
like oddly terrifying. And Mark Bagley is a legendary artist at Marvel. For
Yeah.
Venom specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the only those are the only two names I know.
Once we start going through some of the credits, I'll probably recognize some more stuff.
I know Tom DeFalco. I know I've seen that name before.
Tom DeFalco. That's the one I was thinking of right now when you were trying to guess the name.
But this book, man, it was just bad in so many ways, and I have a few ideas as to why. But I will start with, man, that cover is badass.
I will say this, like I said this before we were talking, and now that I'm flipping through issue 1 because I have the single issue in hand. I really only I love the art, but I only love some of the characters' art. Like I really love Venom and Carnage because it's hard to draw them bad, and I love the doppelganger Spider-Man. But now that I look at Mary Jane and Peter's face, I'm just like, this is stupid. But but that's about all I could really give this book, is that it had some cool art, but that's because you get so much symbiote action, if it wasn't for that, I really don't know how I could praise the series or the storyline. But that's why we're gonna do a commentary and break down issue by issue what worked and just what didn't about this book. Let
me start with why I think this book failed in my eyes. It definitely didn't fail in pop culture. This thing is still considered an essential read for Spider-Man fans.
Even now, as when they're promoting the Let There Be Carnage, they're promoting this more than anything.
But
why? I don't
I have a few reasons as to why I think this book could have been better. That's the better way of putting it. As much as I hated it, I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing ever. One being the Comics Code Authority.
There you go.
Being a stamp on the book. So for anybody that doesn't know, the Comics Code was created in the 70s? No. Do you remember when it was created?
Oh, this was back in I want to say the 60s.
Because 60s, the 50s is when the book of Seduction of the Innocent came out.
Yeah.
So long story short, for anybody who doesn't know, this psychologist, I don't know, some guy, he was a psychiatrist, psychologist, something. He basically said comic books were corrupting America's youth. He literally said they were corrupting children. Mm-hmm. So, he tried citing examples of the Pulp Fiction magazines, showing drugs and violence and sex and all that stuff, and superhero comics being too dark in terms of their tone or their content. So the comic book industry came with this alternative called the Comics Code Authority, where if you have that stamp on the front of the book, that basically meant the book has been approved and it's suitable for young children. Mm-hmm. The thing is, how are you going to have a story of a mass murdering serial killer with a symbiote do a massacre, but you can't show that massacre? So
that was probably one of the biggest issues with it. You kind of expected a bloodier book, and I feel like there's bloodier
no blood.
Wolverine. No blood.
None. The book itself, there's no violence really. They talk about it, and it's just awkward in my opinion. It's really awkward because it's just they're oh, look at all the blood everywhere, or the bloodshed from Carnage, and you're like, okay, there's just
so many lives lost, and
it's stuff in your it's everybody's still alive though.
Yes.
And then so that's the big thing, and that's not necessarily the creative team's fault. It's just how the comic book industry was.
Yeah.
The second thing was, this is post-Image Comics. So this is, I don't know if anybody's really talked about this, but this is after the mass exodus of all the creators from Marvel creating Image, because Image was founded in 92, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So a year later, I'm pretty sure this book was maybe in the works, or there was some sort of talk about it, and then the team they originally had planned for it maybe they didn't have the people they want to for the book, and they just kind of got whoever. But I just think, you lost a lot of your talent, so you have to scrounge and figure out who to put on a book next, even if they didn't want to be on it.
Oof, I could see that too, because there's certain issues where you're just that the person writing this just did not care, or there's so many inconsistencies throughout the book too, and maybe we'll point them out because I know someone I was reading it, but doing the commentary I might not see it right away.
Yeah.
But with character, dude, why was Spidey's ribs still hurting at the end of this fucking book? Like the very last panel, he's like, my ribs still hurt, and I'm just like, you got that? Like the Avengers patch, whatever.
Yeah.
He got patched up like 3 times for his ribs.
He didn't do it. Like, I don't know. This whole book is everybody doing nothing but complaining.
Yes, as we're gonna do for the next 2 episodes. Well, let's dig in. Let's dig into Spider-Man Unlimited #1, Carnage Rising. And you know what? I really did think that this book was off to a good start because the first joke is a Weird Al Yankovic joke, and I respect that.
I know, right? Like, I forgot Weird Al was already big in '93.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, if they started the Let There Be Carnage with something like this, a shot like this, and you see Cletus coming up and then bust, like, I could see this being a scene in the movie. This is right away, you're just like, oh man, this might just get really crazy. Like, they thought they could control Cletus and they thought they could run experiments, but it turns out that his symbiote has bonded with his blood, and that's why it's always a part of him. Very different than Eddie's bond. Eddie just has that bond with Venom, but with Carnage now, it's like inside of him. It's part of him. There's no escaping it. And I guess this is maybe, I don't know too much Carnage history. What issue of Spider-Man? We'll find out how far away from whatever
First appearance?
Yeah, the first appearance was, I think the first appearance was what, like 361 or 363 or something like that. 362, I think.
Let's see. Amazing Spider-Man 359.
Full 359.
Full appearance 361.
Oh, okay, there you go. So 361. All right, cool. We'll check it out once we see like the next Spider-Man issue. But that's a pretty like recent phenomenon, I want to say. Like this is one of the first times we get to see that. But I mean, the first page where he's just breaking out and he has the axe hand and all this stuff. Like, I think this is a wonderful scene of Carnage. This almost full page splash with him looking at the doctor, and then he's facing facing you. If you're just like looking at the visual images behind stuff, this is a really nice book. And then you have, of course, the funeral of Harry Osborn, which I don't like the faces, the way they're drawn, but this is very like Jim Lee looking,
Yeah, it's not, I think because that's what was popular at the time.
Yeah, like it had to be like it's all very generic. This was the Marvel staple of drawing, even Thor looked like it has the same jaw as Mary Jane. But like, Carnage just slicing through the guards, you're right, dude. He just, apparently all these guards are dead, but like there's no blood. Zero blood.
Yeah, the only red you see is the symbiote, which I think they tried kind of like making it look like blood, but
yeah, like the splashes or something, but it just, I mean, Carnage looks dope. I love every panel with his face. I think that's what like that's just like what draws me in. But oh, and he meets Shriek. So that's
never heard of this character.
Shriek I had never heard of. I think she's actually a symbiote now, if I'm not mistaken. But Shriek is an interesting Domino-looking character. I thought that's who it was at first. Was like Domino locked up, and I was like, what? But she's kind of a blend of the Crow, Domino, and man, I forget. There's a Batman Beyond villain called Shriek too. That's the one with the Sonics and whatnot. And does she? What was her power? Did she deal with Sonics?
This Shriek?
Yeah, it was just like
she
a blast
has like
of some sort.
Energy blast, and then like something with her mind that she could like.
Oh, that causes like mayhem and
and
whatnot. Yeah.
I don't know. Like the other problem with I have with this book was it's clearly 90s.
So it's just so heavily 90s.
I know
it's hard to like get past it.
Yeah, it's so hard because my main problem with 90s comics, I think a lot of people have, is character design.
Oh yeah.
And for some reason, everybody in the 90s wore like these same boots.
Yes.
Like if you look at every character, their shoes look like these boots. Like if you look at the guards and Peter at the funeral, you know what I mean.
Oh my god, you're right. Huh?
And then, there's just like the weird art style with the washed out colors and the over sexualization. Like it's just like it does not age well.
It doesn't. Mary Jane, the whole big deal behind her is that she's smoking cigarettes because she's so stressed. And everything's so hard. Honestly, I feel like every older Spidey comic I read and it has Mary Jane in it, it's the same thing. It's always just her like, why do you have to go be Spider-Man? And then she's like, I understand why you're Spider-Man. Why you got to go be Spider-Man? I understand why you're Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it's like, go
just,
get him, Tiger.
Yeah, there's always the go get him, and then she's
And
always upset, and she's always throwing a fit. She's always upset, like every single one.
you know, this might be reading too into it, but it might be just, male writers not knowing how to write female characters. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that could be what it is,
I could totally dive into that and agree. Because it literally just sounds like we need the wife to be overly concerned, but then accept what he does.
Yeah,
and that's all they use her for.
And it just comes off as like
she's needy and she needs like Peter. She needs like his love and comfort, and for him to be there. But he's always at work all the time. And what am I supposed to do? My modeling career isn't taking off.
So she just smokes cigarettes.
So she just stresses out and smokes cigarettes and goes on like little. Even we'll get to it, but there's other stuff that pisses me off.
And I'm not saying everybody was like, not everybody. I'm not trying to say everybody was writing like that either. It's just I think the majority,
Yeah, especially you could tell. I mean, it's just you look at some of these older. I can't think of any off the top of my head because I kind of stray away. You keep up with so many like modern and kind of like the legendary storylines we do for the show. It's like it's hard to name them off. But literally, just go read some old Spider-Man. Go read the beginning of the Clone Saga. And that's like literally Mary Jane. There you go. There's my reference. One thing I thought that was super cool that was brought into it was the doppelganger Spider-Man.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, and he just kind of shows up.
But he's just kind of like a loose dog.
Yeah, basically.
He's just like literally like a rabid like Spidey that just kind of does what they say on command. But you know what, dude? Like these panels with Venom and Spidey and like to Carnage is like it was all like him reminiscing and whatnot. But like with the symbiotes leaping off of Cassidy and stuff like that, and it's all great. Every panel with Carnage just looks so cool. Him and the doppelganger Spider-Man in the same panel, like I think that's just great imagery. A lot of reds going on, reds and blacks and whatnot. So it's cool. Like it's cool seeing Carnage with a Spider-Man, throughout the book. It's like that, kind of the multiverse stuff going on before they just over exploded it like with Batman and whatnot in Dark Knight Metal. But yeah, I mean, I think it's weird. Like we're only like 4 pages into this book, 5 pages in or so, and Carnage is already recruited Shriek and Doppelganger Spider-Man. He just creates his own little party of people.
He calls it a family, which is really awkward because they refer to everybody like mommy and daddy.
Yeah, they do, and like the annoying part about that whole aspect is like they do the whole like he's a wife beater and he like smacks Shriek around. He's like he does the whole Harley Joker thing where Joker would get mad at like, why would you kill Batman and go after him? I'm the one who's supposed to do that. It's not funny when you do it. That's literally what Carnage and Shriek go through. That's a relationship. It's ridiculous. She was Harley Quinn before, like Harley Quinn and whatnot. And you get Spidey spinning around and just like literally this monologue that they have. I never understood why, and it's not even being a lazy reader or anything, but like they over explain stuff way too much these books, and that's what kills it for me. In every aspect, in every way, like Spidey's just thinking way too much in between this battle, and it's supposed to be a fast-paced thing because they're both like, they're both powerful. I could only imagine how fast Doppelganger Spider-Man is compared to Spider-Man. But it's too much reading while you're in the middle of an action scene, and it takes you away from.
It's too busy.
Yeah, it's just so busy. So I don't know, that stuff kind of drives me a little crazy at a certain point. If it's not justifiable with that type of dialogue while you're fighting, it needs to not.
Yeah.
happen.
The other thing, like when you listen to Carnage talk, like the all right, baby makes 3. He can keep you company while I attend some personal business. Like, it just doesn't feel like Carnage would talk like that.
No, and it's annoying as hell. He's like the worst voice.
Because when I hear Carnage talk, I think of that PS1 Spider-Man game.
Yeah. No, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's just cringy. You know what I mean? It's consistently cringy too. But it's like with Spidey, his voice is just too worrisome sometimes. It's like, how do you get anything done, man? Some cool artwork stuff though. Like in the battle between Spider-Man and Doppelganger Spider-Man, there's like certain scenes where you see, this top panel I'm looking at right now. It shows him like dodging, or Shriek comes into play, and he's dodging Shriek's screams, and the way they show Spidey's jumps and his dodges, and the way he lands like in front of you, like the reader, I think stuff like that's super cool. Some of the action artwork really is great. Like the movement's intense, like the body poses and everything are just really interesting. It just you get distracted from it, and I'm really kind of just noticing it more for the first time right now, since I'm not having to read through this like mess of stuff. But the final page of this is Carnage standing over JJ's desk, and I think that itself is just a cool image, like the way his symbiote's spinning around him. He's in like a very non-threatening pose, but like, it's Carnage. It's terrifying to walk into your office and see that red thing in your on your desk. But it was a cool cliffhanger, visually. But also I'm gonna note that we did read this in two different formats. I have an omnibus. I have the Spider-Man versus Venom omnibus, and I read this digitally, correct?
I got it on Comixology.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And you bought it too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I paid my money. I paid money for this. You know what? And that's why I was like, damn it, I'm gonna read it.
I'm glad it was part of an omnibus that I could read more of. So issue 2, and we'll start blasting through this a bit more. But issue 2, like right away, like honestly, this was probably one of my most disliked issues of the entire series. Probably because this is when it really starts to happen. But Carnage just recruited what's her face, Shriek, and the Doppelganger Spider-Man. And 2 seconds later, you're in this next Spidey book, and this is, what is it? Web of Spider-Man. Also, it shows you how many goddamn Spider-Man.
Yeah, dude, it's like Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unlimited, Web of Spider-Man, and I think like one more.
Spider-Man. Like there's one that's literally just Spider-Man.
I don't know, dude.
It's Spider-Man Unlimited. It
must have been a nightmare to keep up with as a kid, dude. That first issue was $3.95 and 93.
Yes, exactly. Like, where are you gonna get that from your parents? They already hate your comics. Why would they fit? And this was a weekly series too, by the way. So 14 weeks of getting this, all back to back.
I'm looking up an inflation calculator.
And just remember, minimum wage stayed the same. Let's just keep that.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know, right? The cost of living went way up.
Yeah.
So spending $3.95 in 1993 was the same as buying basically an $8 book.
Oh.
So let's see, 1993, $3.95, $7.46. That's before tax. And then the issues after that were $1.95. So that's like spending $3.68 a book. So it's no different, it's no different than buying those oversized $8 80-page issues versus
60-page giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But I mean, even then, for just like the way comics were back then, I mean, they're not really, they weren't really as accepted as now. So convincing whoever to pay today's prices then, you know what I mean? It would have been like, no way. Well, so Carnage has his own ragtag team of like his family. But then like Cloak and Dagger jump into this
literally out of nowhere.
Like out of nowhere. And my biggest issue with this entire series is that they just cram characters into this. This isn't a Spider-Man
random
Carnage
characters. Deathlock? Sorry, spoiler, but Deathlock? I was like, I haven't heard Deathlock's name, I think, since like 2002.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like I don't know.
I don't even remember where I heard his name. I was like, why the hell is Deathlock in this with Mobius? I guess Mobius, sure. And then Nightwatch, and I was like, who the fuck's Nightwatch?
Oh, Spawn. I know. I had to look that up.
I was like, it's Spawn.
And that's all in part 2. We'll check that out. That's gonna be a funny thing to talk about. But dude, Deathlock. It's funny. I read the Free Comic Book Day issue the Marvel one that just came out. I don't know if you got to read it yet. But the one that has the preview for the new Hulk series and stuff. But Avengers 50 is all based off of Deathlock, and I was like,
Oh
what
God.
timing? Like, what? How the hell did I read 2 stories that have Deathlock in it in the same like day? You know, synchronicities. You know.
Yeah.
Um.
Just no.
Dude, so check this out. So Spider-Man's ribs get really hurt, and this is where Spider-Man's ribs get hurt. This is issue 2 because he fell in issue 1, and now in issue 2 his ribs are all messed up and stuff like that. Like he is surrounded by this gang and whatnot. Cloak and Dagger come out of nowhere, and then they take him up to their hideout that looks like Doctor Strange's hideout. Oh, also, I don't know how this is printed in yours, but when they mention Mary Jane right before Shriek and the doppelganger Spider-Man come into play, I mean the girl downstairs, Harry Osborn's now ex-wife, the widowed wife, she has blonde hair, but they're talking about Mary Jane, and it's all. I mean, I think it's about Mary Jane. It insinuates it's about Mary Jane, but she has blonde hair, and she's watching TV.
Let me find it, because that's after a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, right after the Cloak and Dagger scenes in issue 2. It's like the switch around, and then Mary Jane comes downstairs. But like when you look at the page, the coloring inconsistencies there like are just way off. And she has much more, like Mary Jane has like way bigger hair than Harry Osborn's widow. So I assume this top panel is her. But it's one of those things that, you know, you start reading the panel and you're just like, oh, you're zooming on the apartment, and Spidey was talking, and it's about Cletus killing everyone, and you know she's panicked and worried. But what color is her hair on yours?
It's the same. Well, as yours.
Blonde?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Like that has to be an error. Like I don't know how that isn't. Because then you go to the next panel. Like what's her face isn't even watching TV. She has a photo in her hand, and she's not like in a dark room. You know what I mean? Like that has to be Mary Jane. That annoyed the hell out of me because I was like, why is this going on? Why hasn't it? This is a reprint. Why hasn't it been fixed? But all right. So everyone's home slice. Carnage is tearing up the bugle. Supposedly Spidey's getting healed by Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, like right there randomly by is her name Dagger? Yeah, it's Dagger.
Am I saying? Yeah, it is Dagger, right?
Yeah, because Cloak he's got the cloak.
The whole your doppelganger, and then like it's all coming through the window and whatnot. So I love the shots, but there's just again like every page, like the dialogue boxes come out more than the artwork in certain points. And Dagger has the lamest. She dies right here, right? Spoilers.
Yeah, it's like the energy like blows her up or something.
Oh, dude, one thing I did think that was cool, and I did not know this, but Doppelganger Spider-Man has his webs are barbed wired.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, the web's hurt" or whatever.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?" Until they said it, and I was like, "Holy crap! I never knew that. That's insane. They should use that more."
Yeah, I didn't even know this character existed until I read this. Honestly,
I knew he was in the Spidey animated series, but that was probably the closest thing I've gone to reading about him.
Are they aliens?
What?
They said Doppelganger was like an alien or something.
Oh, I thought he was like a messed up clone of Spidey.
I could have sworn earlier in like the first issue they say alien. Well, anyways,
correct us in the comments, everybody.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I do love Carnage's like the way his fingers trap Spidey. I love this whole fight between them because they're kind of actually utilizing his powers, and then the axe swipe that comes out of his chest and gets Spidey on the side again, hits his ribs.
Those damn ribs.
And Dagger supposedly dies, but they say something. Where is it? I want to see it somewhere. I think it's the next issue then. Well, that's the end of issue 2. So Dagger dies, and it's like, no.
She's like, it's. Look at the sound effect though. The Reetz or something like that. REEETZ.
Oh, when she gets shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what is that supposed to sound like?
We should just record a bunch of these.
I know, right?
Quonk.
Quonk.
But that's the end of issue 2. That's I mean, again, cool arc. And then, here we go. This is where Venom comes into play. The end of issue 2.
Yo, in San Francisco, represent.
That's how you do it.
Was this after or before Lethal Protector?
I want to say this is after.
Yeah, because he's already in San Francisco. That's true.
Because I think Lethal Protector was like right after his like first appearance, I want to say. Maximum Carnage, 3 out of 14. In the Amazing Spider-Man. So we have Spider-Man Unlimited. We have Web of Spider-Man, and now we're on Amazing Spider-Man. And this one, like right when I opened it up, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a bit better. And this was a better issue than the other ones. I will say that, and I'll even point out why as we go along. But you have David Michelinie as the writer, and then you have Mark Bagley as the penciler, and then was it Randy Emberlin as inker, Rick Parker letters, and Bob Sharon colors. Some of these, it's not giving me the credits for the omnibus. Like, it doesn't even show the credits for some of them. But I'll try to point them out whenever it does. But, I mean, dude, just right away, that shot of Venom, that's so dope. You die. And he's
because his jacket is the symbiote.
Oh, dude, I thought that was sick as hell, too. There's even a shot where it has, like, his jacket on later in the comic, and it has, like, even the Venom, like, what's a dragon now, but it was a Spidey logo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they said it represents the dragon.
Yeah. And it, I love how he has the jacket. It reminded me of, like, Agent Venom, you know what I mean? When he has the jacket as a symbiote. So I thought that was a cool. I guess Agent Venom reminds me of that, but properly. Okay, so this pissed me off. So we go back to Cloak and Spidey because Dagger just died, and Spidey's reaction to like her dying and trying to like kind of console Cloak right now is the worst thing ever. He's just like, calm down, man. And he's just like, dude,
come
she's
on,
dead.
Cloak, take it easy. Your girlfriend just died horribly.
Yes. And then he's just like, man, the way Cloak just teleports away, like, I'll never get used to it. What really disturbs me is what he said, how close it hits to home. It's like, yeah, dude, you've just witnessed so many people die, and you just want Cloak to be like, oh, dude, well, we got stuff to do. I'm sorry, it's the game. You know?
Like the way the thoughts are, oh, God, dude, like caption boxes way better than thought bubbles.
Oh yeah.
Yes. But like the way this sounds, I've lost my share of friends and family. Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, and just days ago, Harry Osborn. But it's like in his head.
Yeah.
And like everything's with an exclamation mark. Then again, I thought my parents were dead for 20 years and they showed up alive, because that's in bolds. Sorry.
Yeah.
A few weeks back. So maybe there is a balance.
And then gotta watch those ribs.
Yeah. Like, what the hell? Like, and then look at this essay right here. Like, it's literally so many words. You could make an essay out of all these, like all these pages.
He's just summing everything up. And that's the thing about these books. Like, I know every issue is somebody's first comic book, you know? But, like, make the story good enough to be like, okay, I want to go get issue 1 and 2 of this and continue the series. Like, you don't have to, like, over-explain and give the backstory every single issue. Like, that just, like, wastes time to me. You're just wasting room for story. This is what pisses me off. Okay, Carnage is with the doppelganger, and he flies in to meet Shriek, and she's all trying to be pretty and be like, come on, Carnage, a kill's a kill. And dude, right here, geez, Carney, I just thought. And then he's like, thought? You thought? Sweet cheeks.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's a vile little habit I think you'd better break. And it's like, oh my God. Now we're just going to make Carnage misogynistic because he's the bad guy. So, of course, he has to be misogynistic. This is the point where Carnage was literally just like a multiverse version of Joker. You know what I mean? That's literally all this is. And it's just him causing mayhem.
He's just trying to, like, just for the sake of it. And let me just say how 90s MJ looks in this panel with that hair and the crop top.
Okay, all right. So, like, I'm sorry. She is not wearing a bra. Her boobs are not going to be that perky. And also, they're either fake or, like, that's it. Like,
the way she's drawn, like, look at her rib cage to the size of her stomach.
Yes, it's horrible. Look at that position. Like, she's just pushing out. Nobody stands like that. And she's not trying to make her back straighter. You know what I mean? It's not even a proper back stance, but whatever.
And then what's up with this
Yeah.
part where she's like, Pete, why are you holding your rib cage? Does it hurt? Only when I laugh, cry, swallow, blink. And I'm like, what?
And then she gets all pissed. She's like, no jokes, Peter. And she was like, but she's mad that he's being Spider-Man. She's upset at him, like that he's out there doing this. And it's like every story I've read from this era is always her acting like this, and I hate it. Like you know what you walked into. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like, he's
you know what you
Spider-Man.
married
like,
into.
Yeah, like I don't know. And this is where like I guess I lose respect for MJ as a character. I know it's transformed. Actually, I don't know too much. You know probably more. You've read more Spidey than I have.
About what, like the character?
Like, yeah, like how
Yeah.
is she can continue to be like this throughout Spider-Man?
No, because if you read, well, Dan Slot's run, they weren't together really.
Right? Okay.
The Nick Spencer run starts with them getting back together, and she kind of does her own thing. She even leaves New York, and she's like, "All right, Pete, you got to do this on your own." So,
Oh wow.
yeah, like I don't know. She got her own series at that time, but I didn't read it because I was like, I don't know, like I don't know what a Mary Jane comic would be about.
Yeah, I just remember the like anniversary covers of her. That's about it. Well, I mean that's my biggest gripe about her, and her character is just so useless in this entire 14 issues. But then you bounce back to Carnage and Shriek, and I do love when Carnage does the whole Wolverine like
Claw
spikes
thing.
out of his head. Yeah, I dig that. I totally dig that. Um, and again, MJ goes back to MJ just yelling at Peter for having to do his job. She's like, "You're going back out there tonight. You're supposed to take a week off for us." And it's like, girl, Carnage is out. What do you want? And I guess you can argue that she's just like really concerned about Peter because Carnage is
Yeah,
loose.
but she knows what Spider-Man's all about.
Yeah, she does, and that's why it's hard to argue against that. Like I'm trying to find a reason why it's justifiable, but it's like, yeah, I mean, even if you knew like Spidey's in danger because Carnage is out, you know this is what he has to do, like, and you can't change that. Like if you should have known this walking in at that point. I did like this scene with Carnage and the cops, the way he just rips it open and whatnot. Pretty dope. Homegirl just blows up the car, and this is where they mention the wire, the bob wire.
Yeah, it's cutting into the
webbing.
skin.
Yeah.
God, every time they show Shriek, she's just super over sexualized. Look at that shot after Doppelganger breaks the guy's neck, which they don't show.
No.
But they have that weird blast looking thing where like the like pow or the but like look at the way like it's like Carnage, the way I don't know, he's like choking.
Even Carnage is like it's like a kid or something. Like it's so lame. I don't get it. I don't vibe with it.
But
it's not cute, it's not funny, it's not scary.
What's it called? When you look at Carnage, he's like got his arm around Doppelganger, and then Shriek's in the picture. She's like, they like show like I don't know, perky breasts and a round butt like right there in the panel.
Yes, they have to like cram all of that.
Yeah,
in,
they have to like have that
you
in
even
there.
get like a tip of the nipple if you look.
Oh yeah, you do, huh?
You do. Yep.
Comics Code approved, y'all.
So horrible. But then we get the Demo Goblin, and this is cool. I've never really read any issues with Demo Goblin in it.
I didn't even know that character existed.
Dude, I thought it was like one of those characters I didn't realize was like real. You know what I mean? I've never seen him often, or read storylines about him. So this was kind of my first actual exposure of him in the story, and he does nothing for it. He literally does nothing. He does not need to be in the story. There's no reason or purpose other than to cram yet another character into this book.
Mm-hmm.
I do dig his whole flaming goblin rider.
Yeah, it's
but
pretty
like
cool.
there's
It's
so
got
many
claws.
Goblins. There's just an oversaturation of goblins.
There's like
in the
what?
Spidey universe.
There's Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Demo Goblin, and then you have the red what was it called with the Carnage?
Red Goblin?
Red Goblin, right?
Red Goblin. And then you have two Green Goblins, of course, too. So
yeah, well, Red Goblin was Norman Osborn, right?
yeah,
with the Carnage,
then,
the red symbiote. And then two Green Goblins because Harry. And then was there another Hobgoblin?
I want to say there was. I want to say we're missing a goblin somewhere in here.
Oh god, there's so many.
But this whole fight scene, and you get introduced to Demo Goblin and all this stuff, and like, of course, there happens to be a priest right there, and I just have to scoop that joke into there. And I really don't even remember where this was going at a certain point, but Peter's back home, and she's just like, oh, yeah, because he's recovering. And then Venom comes into the picture, and you're just like, oh, damn, because Venom went to go fight them at the park. So it's cool they don't even show that. They just show Venom getting ambushed. And because at the end of the last issue, Venom finds out that Carnage is back, and he's pissed because Venom technically created Carnage through his symbiote. And so Venom swings into action, and then you don't see him until the next page where he's crawling onto Peter's door and he's passing out. And I love how like he has a symbiote and they still give him the battle damaged suit look.
Yeah, it's true they do because it's like scratched up. But keep in mind, and then Peter's wearing some like bear slippers.
Yes.
Yeah, and like they just.
But he's still wearing his tights.
They're trying so hard. I know he's still wearing the tights. They try so hard to like appeal to the male eye. Like they have Mary Jane in her like bra and panties.
Yeah.
And it's like the book is really trying to like sell sex.
Oh yeah, 100%. It doesn't do anything else for it. You know what I mean? Oh, man. So it's. Goddamn, you're totally right. I can't even look past that now. Like MJ, just totally every single panel, she's over sexualized. Why does she even has like the overly done like white underwear and everything, and then of course the pink robe. Like I didn't notice like how lame that was. Like nobody's. I don't know. Why was she in a tank top without a bra, but now she's lounging and she's not wearing it? Like that makes no sense.
Someone's at the door. Let's get MJ in the shot now.
Yeah. Yes. Why would she be the one answering the door?
Because they're just trying to appeal to like teenagers, right? Like,
yeah.
They're like, oh boy, there's a bra in this, so I gotta buy it.
Yeah. So okay. Issue 4 of this series.
Dude, they got 30 years of X-Men in the corner.
Oh damn. 63 to 93. And this is the Spider-Man title. Just Spider-Man. So now we have Spider-Man Ultimate Spider-Man or Spider-Man Ultimate, and then you have Web of Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man. So 4 titles into here so far. Ongoing. All right. So first shot. Super dope full page splash. David Michelinie, again the writer, so the writing's pretty consistent. And even the writing in the previous one wasn't as top heavy as we saw in the other 2 issues we read. So 3 and 4 they've been more dialogue, but like smoother dialogue for sure. And let's see, Tom Lyle is the penciler, Scott Hanna inker, Rick Parker letters, and Tinsley plus Moran colors. That's interesting. And Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief at the time too. That's interesting. So again, this is just Carnage just causing mayhem. Like the first 2 pages of this are just him running through stuff. MJ is pissed because she doesn't want Venom like in their apartment, and then Peter has to like.
She's wearing clothes.
Oh my god, she's dressed. You're right. And then Spidey's like in jeans and his boots.
But like,
and we just saw
they're in like their pajamas. So did they just leave Venom there on the floor all night and
they just showered and came back, and like now she has earrings. She's all dressed up and ready to go. Okay. And she's still mad that he's still playing Spider-Man. Like she's just yelling at him about this whole aspect. And that's super weird because that's just he wrote both issues. That's so inconsistent. When she gets mad and she's like, where do I go now? I don't know. I don't have anyone here. Eddie just naps out on the couch and Spidey hits the streets.
Just remember Eddie is rocking that mullet hard.
Dude, so hard. Look at that mullet.
That thing is like that's the brightest part of his body too.
Yes. I'm so glad he's changed over the years. This is the one character that most radical transformation for sure. Oh well, it's so it's kind of weird. So MJ takes off and then Spidey goes to like his side girl's house.
Literally to Felicia's house.
Yes, fucking just dips over there. They're all having coffee and everything. I guess it's morning now. MJ shows up to hang out with Aunt May and Harry's parents, which is odd, pretty interesting. And then we just see a bunch of explosions. It's literally the same thing over and over again here. Carnage and Demogoblin are all. Oh no, this is Demogoblin getting ready to team up with Carnage. This is why this scene is important, because this is where they make that little bond, and they're like, "Oh, you like blowing up stuff? Why don't you hang out with us and blow up stuff?" And he's like, "All right."
He's like, "Hey, you want to kill people? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's go do it." Literally how that. Yeah. So, why don't you come along? We'll help you smoke some sinners. Collaboration might expedite my quest at that. Very well.
Well, yeah, he's like on a quest to like cleanse sin off the planet Earth or something.
It's stupid as hell. Dude, nobody has a crazier costume than Black Cat. Like that is. Oh my
god, that thing is like. I don't even know how you fight crime in that.
It's essentially like Paul Stanley's outfit. Okay, so now they're all teamed up with Venom. Venom took a nice nap, and he's all hyped up and ready to go now. And then they're just like, all right, guys, we're going to team up. We're going to take these guys down. And, oh, man. Oh, so MJ called, too. So she ran off, and now she's just calling to make sure she's okay. How sweet. But they go and find Cloak, and Cloak's just like, Dagger's dead, guys.
He's like,
I'm not over it yet.
He's like, is nobody listening to me? She died an hour ago.
My girlfriend died.
And everybody's like, that's cool, bro. Anyways, let's go stop Carnage.
Yeah, just totally whatever. So, and then they get ambushed. Literally every single time something happens, they have a fight scene almost in every issue, but nothing comes out of that fight scene. The only thing that's come out of any fight scene is Dagger dying, or they pick up a new member. That's it. That's like the outcome. But this one's kind of ridiculous because Spidey has to make that ultimate choice where he's just like, do I go after Carnage and the Madmen? Do I help Venom and Felicia? What do? I have to make some hard decisions in the last few hours, but how can I possibly make this one? How? Find out in Spectacular Spider-Man 201. So now, part 5 of the series, guys. Spectacular Spider-Man. We're at Spider-Man Unlimited, Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and now Spectacular Spider-Man. I'm doing a podcast, so Roscoe's saying hi to the audience. There you go. Honestly, I love this first page. This like 9-panel grid they got going on here is one of the coolest things I've seen them do. You know, art-wise and layout-wise. It's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this issue is a wasted issue though, because as it progresses, I don't know. For one, the art is really, dude. When the building crashes on Eddie, like it looks like a toy building fell on him.
Because it looks like he's the size of the building.
Yes. I'm really not a fan of the way like Venom looks in some of these panels. This just feels like a rushed issue, and it's so many close-ups. And there's not a lot of detail and stuff. I literally like that first page, and that's all I could commend about it. Even Carnage, he has more black in him than red. Once you get to those scenes, all of them is just like.
And then check out if you go to that one page, where is it? The one where like they barely get out, and he's like helping Black Cat up. The amount of cleavage they add to her.
Oh my goodness, you're right. That is just.
There's so much over-sexualization, you literally can't unsee it.
Well, and I don't know. And then you have this whole moment that they cram in with Peter and Aunt May. Like, he just winds up there and just dressed differently and everything. Like, he went home and changed and showered and got that smoke smell off of him. And then he goes to Aunt May's house to get, just to talk. And then he has this whole moment with his dad. And you realize his dad's kind of a prick.
Yeah, I know, right? You know what's really random? I bought those issues where his parents came back from the comic book shop a long time ago for like $1 because they were like back issues, and I never read them. I was like, "Whoa, it's Peter Parker's parents," and I just never read it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, you're interested, but then now I'm not.
Yeah, his dad's an asshole apparently.
That's an asshole. Oh, and it's cool when they have the imagery kind of match with there's one scene going on and you read the captions and it's related to a totally another scene. I forget what that's called. But this one does it like way too obvious. It's not even like a metaphor for anything, but there's a part where, you know, Peter and his dad are talking, and then everyone, Shriek and Carnage are destroying the city, and Demo Goblin is like blowing up this helicopter, and the helicopter comes down, and then Peter's dad is just like, "If I'd done that, Peter, I would have gone down in flames." And as the helicopter blows up, but it's not like you could do that in a pivotal moment when you're kind of saying that something's being destroyed, but you don't directly say. Like, it's as if they just put a caption on this image and just said, helicopter crashes in flames. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it relates way too closely to that for
it's
it to
too
have,
on the
like, an
nose.
impact. Yeah, it doesn't have any impact at that point. It was just, this whole issue, I just didn't get the point of it. It was just them destroying stuff, which they've done every single issue. And then they have another fight. They're all gonna, another character is introduced.
Venom also throws a car.
Venom does throw a car. Where's the car throwing part?
Cassidy
There you
is
go.
mine.
Because they find all the mayhem that's been going on because Shriek's controlling people and there's riots now. But what's this guy's name? Clarion or something like that?
Let me see if I can find it. It is like Clarion or
something like that. It'll pop up right now. But then they're having to fight this mob of people that have just gone just crazy. They've just gone absolutely insane. And that's where I love the final page. The first page and final page are my favorite 2 pages of this entire issue. You'll get no mercy from Spider-Man, because then he's just pissed because he's having to attack civilians.
Have you ever seen Spider-Man in anything ever go from like speaking in the third person? From Spider, I guess he does. Yeah.
I guess he does.
But I guess he doesn't yell it out loud. It's usually to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he does say your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man a lot.
And it's typically a caption box or something like that.
He doesn't go yelling it. You'll get no mercy from Spider-Man.
And so this is part 6. We'll cut it after this issue. We'll cover this one and then save the rest for part 2. Man, this cover just explains the entire series.
It's just everybody fighting everyone.
Yeah, like this is, if you just look at this, you could recap the last 4 issues. And the next 5. that's pretty much it. This just tells the whole story.
You got Venom.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Venom getting zapped by Demogoblin while he's punching Doppelganger, and then Shriek is like hitting Morbius with those weird energy beams, and then Spider-Man's fighting Carnage.
Yeah, and I just hate the background on it too. It's just it feels rushed. This whole thing feels rushed. But we aren't back on Web of Spider-Man. So nice little switch up there. That seems like what we have 5 series going on.
Yeah,
if this is part 6, 5 series.
Can you imagine if you only read like Amazing Spider-Man or something?
I was curious if I just read Spider-Man Unlimited 1 and 2, because those are the only 2 that have, it's like the beginning and end of the series. I was wondering if like anything, if you even need to read this entire middle part, if it's even worth it. So far I'd say no. Because you kind of get the base idea, and then you can probably wrap it up. And probably 13 and 14 are the most pivotal parts. But Carrion is this guy. Have you ever seen or like read about him before?
I have no idea, dude.
I've never heard. I don't think I have. He seems somewhat familiar, but vaguely.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never seen him before.
And I don't know, his powers are kind of unique in that sense. Actually, I gotta do research on him. I don't know much about this guy at all. I don't know when his first appearance was. I don't know what I've seen him in. But so not only are we adding Carrion to Carnage's like little ragtag gang, his family, but you're also adding Morbius. When you turn the page, you get a full page splash of Morbius.
Yeah, like out of nowhere, there was no hint of him or anything. He just shows up. And he apparently has like a hypno ray or something.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to that before.
Yo, check out homie's like sick ponytail though.
Oh my god, for reals though. Dude, even that like parted blonde hair, like look at that.
I'm gonna look up Carry On
ridiculous.
real quick. Like
Yeah,
I was really trying to think of like who the hell is that character?
I know it kind of stumped me right now. I thought I knew more about him, but I couldn't recall anything. But we essentially, it's showing Morbius like, sucking the blood of his victims. And
But
then
there's
you get
no
like this
blood.
crazy.
Oh no, there is.
cleavage.
There's a small speck of blood.
Is there? Oh, it is. Well, it might be a saliva in the lighting. In his
True.
mouth. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. That I could go either way, but I could arguably say that is blood. And then you get some Black Cat cleavage right there, and they're basically just recruiting him. Spidey's ribs are still hurting. Let's just remember that his ribs just have not healed.
His face
And
looks
then-
like he's like constipated.
Dude, and then MJ's just out dancing with like two random guys that are totally down. And she's just like, living it up. There's even like a reporter or someone there, saying like, "Oh, check it out. Secret hospital, Scarlett's putting on a solid show for her fans." That sounds like she's stripping. I'm not going to lie. Like when they say a girl's putting on a show, it's typically not like a respectable thing at that point. But yeah, MJ is just in between two dudes, just dancing the night away. So that's what she's doing when Peter's not around, and she's in a place called the Deep. Dude, the club is called the Deep.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I was like, what is this kind of club supposed to be?
But I think this is one of the cooler. The next 2 pages, like it is a club scene and whatnot. But seeing the way they stuff so many characters in it, and almost every panel has like Carnage with the Doppelganger, Shriek, and Demo Goblin. You know what I mean? Like they're just crammed in somehow, and they're supposed to be killing all these people too.
Like I said, busy,
and it just doesn't do anything. It just literally is just filled with stuff. And I don't know, this entire club scene, nothing matters because again, like the last 5 issues we've read, there's a fight scene and they're all fighting. And it doesn't go anywhere. And supposedly
it's a fight
everyone's
scene where
dead
they
around
always
it.
have to announce who they are and what their powers are. Duh.
And what they've done so far, which isn't much. But Morbius comes into play, and then he's fighting with them, so that's cool. Spidey gets to save MJ, and I think that's the entire issue right there. Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. That's just like that's it. Like, and Venom gets pissed because.
You know what? You're
Venom
right.
wants
It
to
is
eat.
the entire issue.
That's the entire issue. Just a long, drawn out fight scene.
Well, they also like put they put out like the fire in the club and save everybody.
That's stupid. And the Carnage and them still escaped. They still got away. Like nothing has happened in this story besides them recruiting more people to fight each other, and it's just turning into a bigger brawl where nobody wins.
It's
But-
always like they fight and someone's about to win, so the other leaves, and then they chase them down, and that's like the entire series back and forth.
Well, we're at chapter 7. We're gonna put a plug on it here for right now. And excuse anyone watching the YouTube video, but my cat is playing on the table, which is shaking the camera. But we'll pick up Maximum Carnage. We'll wrap it up next issue and give our final thoughts on this. But you know what? If we're wrong about this series, if we're seeing stuff that you're seeing that that is great, then please let us know. Enlighten us. I would love to be proven wrong and for someone to say that Maximum Carnage is the dopest Carnage series and give me a strong point on this, because so far what we've seen is just them literally just meeting more people and fighting and
It's like,
not
hey,
winning.
hey, do you hate so and so? Come join us.
Do you like blowing stuff up? I like blowing stuff up. Let's go blow stuff up. And
Yo,
then they
you're a
fight
vampire.
Spider-Man.
You like to fight symbiotes. Let's do this.
Carnage is just like, Spidey's ribs are really fucked right now, so just hit those and we'll be good. Just But all right, we'll see you guys next week on our road to episode 100, and that will be episode 92. Thanks for hanging.
Almost
Brandon.
there. Yeah, thanks for having me.